Hey, we've got a 2012 regular cab on the dyno. This has a D&J Performance Series engine on it, stage 2 head, billet rods, a Exergy 250% over 6.7 injectors, and a 14 mil structure pump. This truck was owned by Adam Abbiati, and he just sold the truck to the new owner is Chris Willis out of Cincinnati, Ohio. So we're getting it dialed in, make sure it's ready to go. It has a small compound setup from industrial injection. It's a 66 over 480, but it's the T3 foot on the manifold, so that's kind of choking us up. We did 1,025 and just a little over 1,700 foot-pounds of torque. The truck is really responsive to drive. It drives good on the street, but it is a 48 swap truck. It has our Porcupine on it. It has a Suncoast PCS controller. This was a swap that we did, well, I don't know, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, before we had our anteater controller. And we just, last week, we ended up putting a Porcupine on it and converting it from a manual file over to the auto file. Now his remote start works and all that stuff works. So it's a pretty fun street truck. He's probably going to put some bigger turbos on it, and then he can have 1,250 horsepower and should be ready to rock.
Alright, we have Joel Bontrager's 2010 68 RFE truck on the dyno. Has 30% injectors. He wasn't sure of the brand. Has stock CP3 and a 63 millimeter VGT turbo. Flashed a tune in it. The first pulls it made on max effort, it made 526 horsepower. I see a few things here and there that I might be able to make changes to try to make a little bit more power. So I'll make those changes and run it again, and then should be good to go. All right, so after reviewing the data logs, I tried making a few changes here and there to pick up a little bit more power. With him having a stock CP3 and adding more fuel, more pulse width, it actually dropped rail too much and it actually lost horsepower. So I went back to the first tune, which made 526 horsepower, was the most we could get out of it on tune 5, and 423 horsepower on tune 1.
Well, once again, it's race week, and we have a race truck without an engine in it. We were doing some experimenting when we were testing the other weekend and ended up melting some pistons. We were doing some water methanol injection, and turns out that's probably not the smartest thing to do, as it ended up melting 3 pistons. But we got the engine back, hoping to stuff it tonight and tomorrow. We also got done putting on a new hood and new doors. We saved about 13 pounds on the hood and about 24 pounds with the 2 doors combined. So the wrap guys were here this morning, got stuff cleaned up, and hoping to come back a little bit later today. Going to get the wrap all fixed up, obviously wrap the new doors in the hood, and then in the process of doing that, they're also correcting the graphics to where things line up where we chop the beds shorter over winter. So hoping to get the graphics, fixed up in the next day or so, and hopefully by tomorrow night we'll have a drivetrain in it and we're ready to go testing Thursday on Rudy's.
Hey guys, a little update on Charity Case. We have 2 full days until we leave for Rudy's. We've been chugging along on it. Got the 850 cage all done, redone after the disaster that was in it. We got the transmission back in, the 4-link redone, new drive shaft, a bunch of new stuff underneath the truck that was outdated, broken, done wrong. So we're trying to kind of just finish up a lot of the small stuff. Get our shifter done, get all our transmission wiring, some stuff in the engine bay finished up, and hopefully we'll be ready for startup tonight, and hopefully we can get everything else buttoned up so we can make some test passes on Thursday.
Hey guys, just a little update on my truck. It's Monday night, we're getting ready to leave. This week over the weekend. Went ahead and put the body back on, got the tranny in, got the intercooler piping on the truck. Mostly getting it ready to go. We're going to play with the trans brake later. We've done our 5-minute break-in, and that should be about it.
Okay, we're getting ready to powder coat some parts and pieces off of my quad cab. This was stuff that we had powder coated last year. We went to the root beer, what was it, Illusion root beer. It's a prismatic color. It's a really nice orange, but we just refabricated the piping to put vibrant clamps on the intercooler and the intake horn, so there's no more intercooler boots, and so we kind of messed up the powder coat. And we do have powder coating stuff in-house. It's something that we just started getting familiar with in the last 6 months. We've done some powder coating because we had a smaller oven, but we built a bigger oven. And I'll show you here, we've got this cart that we've got all our parts hanging on, that we sandblast everything in the cabinet behind me, or if big stuff we have to do outside. And then we've got an oven that we built, and I'll show you this. This is a contraption that my brother Lynn fabricated. We had a local electrician, Myron Fox, who built the control box for it. But this is, Lynn fabricated all of this. This is a insulated box. As you can see, it's got heating elements in it, and it is heating up right now. And we're getting ready to turn this raw aluminum and stainless into something nice. So we'll show you here a little bit later once we get it coated. I think Landon and Cody are going to be doing the actual coating and powder coating. But if you do have twin turbos, or you have single turbo and you have piping stuff that you want us to powder coat, that is something we can do in-house now.
Tonight, it's Friday night, we're just kind of hanging out, and we were doing some testing with some anteaters that we had here. We put my personal truck on the dyno, and we made 1239 last time I was on the dyno, and that was with a small nitrous jet and a basically empty bottle. So I got the bright idea, this is why it's on here. We're gonna put a full bottle in it, a little bit bigger jet, and hopefully not destroy a block tonight. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. So we'll see what it's gonna do. So we just made a couple pulls. We made one fuel only pass, and we ended up doing a little bit more than last time. We did 12, and last time we did 1187. So somehow we picked up a little bit more power somewhere. And then we did 2 nitrous pulls. Both of them were with 78 jets and a full bottle. That was a -6 line, and we did 1389, and then we did 1403. So pretty impressive number for a 5.9 truck still. It's 275%, a 14 mil race pump, a D&J stage 1 head, a force inductions 768710, and that's pretty much basically it on the fuel and the air setup on the truck. It's a pretty basic setup, and it goes to show it makes a pretty good power. I mean, with spray or not, so it's a fun one to drive on the road, and I think we'll hopefully keep it that, maybe a set of compounds, something. So yeah, thanks for watching.
We've got my sister Rolanda's truck on the dyno. She just put a 12 mil pump on the truck, so we're going to put it on the dyno, see if we can dial it in for the 770 index. We're going to target about 750 horsepower for a regular cab. And I'm going to let her tell you kind of all the parts she's got on the truck. She has done all the work on it here at the shop, and I don't know, fire away.
Yeah, so I have 100% XG injectors on it. I have a Taterbilt 6767 turbo. I just put on a 12 mil CP3 by XG as well, and I have a fast fuel pump as well.
And trans is a comp 1 setup?
Yes.
Yeah, billet input, billet output.
Yep.
Yeah. ARP 625, this is still stock intercooler, stock engine otherwise, and this truck has what, 285,000 miles on it. So we will see if we can get her set up for 770 and send her off to Rudy's. What we did on Rolanda's truck is took tune 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we are making it all 770 tunes with small changes in between, trying to get a 50 horsepower window that she can go out. If she goes out and runs a 765, she can click it up to the next tune, which picks it up like 10 horsepower and gets her closer to that 770 mark. That'll help her go down to Rudy's without testing and be able to hit that target index without having to go to the drag strip a couple weekends and practice. So the first revision that I tried to target that, we hit a window of 707 horsepower on tune 1 and 753 on tune 4, and then we have 731 and 745. I feel like that's a good 50 horsepower window, but we're going to move it up 15 horsepower, so that way I can for sure have her covered, because she's like 6,950 pounds on the truck, which is a little bit lighter than the quad cabs. The quad cabs generally take 775, and I just want to make sure she has enough, because this truck usually hasn't 60 footed as good as some of the others, and maybe that's just because she launches like a girl. But no, not really. Rolanda's done pretty good. She won a couple ET classes last year, and hopefully she can do some more 770 racing, and I'd like to see her do good. We are dynoing the quad cab today. This is my 04 that I took to Diesel Power Challenge. I built this truck originally in 2013 for the 2014 Diesel Power Challenge, and it's been a fun truck for me the last 6 years that I have been driving it, with 1,000 to 1,400 horsepower, been various different setups. But today's setup is 275% over Exergies. It's the same injectors I've been running since DPC 2015. 14 mil Exergy race pump. It's got a D&J Enforcer deck plate long block in it with Cummins QSP pistons. So it's a late 5.9 bowl pattern with 5.9 injectors, the 04.5 ECU. It's got a stainless diesel 5-blade S472 8710 turbo on the manifold, forced inductions 488 96 132 turbo on the atmosphere on the twin setup. It's got the Firepunk Comp 3 transmission that we're testing, the Matt Sanger solid billet input shaft, and the DPC torque converter. That seems to be working flawlessly. It feels really solid. I'm excited to see how that looks after a summer of putting abuse to it. Here you can see the finished product of the powder coat we were doing for the quad cab. You can see that we did the intake horn and the intercooler piping, added the vibrant clamps. So no more intercooler boots, no more blown boots. Pretty excited about that. So this truck weighs 7,760 pounds in race weight, because it is fully loaded, sound system, bolt-in roll bar, everything that we've got on it. So it does take a lot of horsepower to run 670. So Landon will be towing his personal 770 truck down to Rudy's with this truck, and unhooking the trailer, bolting the roll bar in, putting the radials on, going racing, swap the tires back on, tow back home. So that's the goal for the weekend, and we're going to see what this thing makes and get it dialed in for the 1,250 to 1,275 horsepower range for the 670 index. Alright, we got the first 2 licks done. This was on a 2,000 microsecond tune. This is max effort on this. I usually run 2,200 microseconds on 275% over Exergies, and we did right at 1,400 horsepower last year on 2,200, and it did 1,353 on 2,000 US, which is right on the money. I know the truck's making the power that it should. Like I said, I wanted to dial in 1,250 to 1,275 horsepower for the 670 index. Kind of depends on the day and your 60 foot on how much power you need. So I'm going to actually turn it down. We're going to go down to an 1,800 US tune, pull a little bit of timing out of it, try to take about 90 horsepower out of it and run it again and see what we can do. We got the quad cab wrapped up and ready for 670. Really, the first pull we did 1353, and I pulled 200 microseconds and 2 degrees of timing out of it, and it did 1272, which is about right where we want to be. I remember back it had been 2015, and when I put the triples on this truck, we finished the triples Friday night, right before Shide of racing the next day, and I knew I needed to be 1,275 horsepower to run 670, and so I backed the truck on the dyno at 1 a.m. On a Friday night, and I got it dialed into 1275, drove it straight to Shide, swapped radials on it, and first pass out it went 671 at 107. So that's kind of always been my target, is to try to get in that 1270 range, and I think we should be able to send Landon off to Rudy's, and hopefully he'll run the number.